used to use a guitar capo just for changing keys. So if I play a C chord, I want to make that a D chord, then I would just place a capo on the 2nd fret and then play the exact same chord shape and we get a D chord. But recently, watching a lot of insane guitar players on Instagram, I discovered this really cool capo trick that allows me to use a capo to play interesting chords like I showed earlier, versus just using it to change keys. So I want to show you how it works, show different cool chords you can play with this trick, starting from simplest to most advanced. So instead of putting the capo across all the strings, I'm just putting it on the 2nd fret across just the bottom 4 strings, leaving the top 2 strings open, essentially forming kind of an A major chord with the open strings. So this capo trick works really well for chord progressions in the key of A major. So in the key of A major, we got the chords A major, B minor, C sharp minor, D major, E major, and then F sharp minor. So we're going to do a classic 4-5-6 progression in the key of A. So that would be the D, E major chords and F sharp minor chords. First, let's do it without the capo and then with this capo trick to see how they compare. Sounds so much better with the capo. So what we've got first is this D major chord. So put one finger on the bass note on the A string, so in this case D, on the 5th fret, and another finger on the F sharp note, 1 string below, and then 1 fret down. And then leave all the other strings open for this cool D6 on 9 chord, and then move the exact same shape after that up 2 frets for this E major chord, E at 11 chord. And then 2 more frets for the F sharp minor chord. But to make it minor, we're going to move the note below down 1 fret, F sharp minor 11 chord. Essentially with this capo trick, this is the main major and minor chord shape to use for any chords in the key of A. And then to make it minor, we move the finger below down 1 fret. So with this chord shape, the chords in the key of A will go like, if you're interested in learning more about 2-note chords to use like these, but in standard tuning without a capo, check out this video where I go over such chords used on songs by popular artists like Green Day, the Beatles, and the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Now we can actually spice up these chords and make them sound even more interesting with some additional notes like so we start off again on the D major chord. But this time we'll also add in 2 extra notes on the 7th and 5th frets on the high E string. And these 2 notes also work on the other major chords in the key, so the D major and A major chords. Then again, we go to the 5 chord, the E major chord. Except this time we add in this note on the 9th fret of the B string, which is pretty much the same as this note on the D string, the major 3rd note. And again, this new chord shape works on the other major chords in the key. So on the D major chord and then A major chords. Then again, we'll go to the 6th chord of the key, this F sharp minor chord. Except this time we start by adding in this note on the 10th fret of the B string, which is pretty much the same as this note our index finger is pressing down on the D string, the minor 3rd note, just really reinforcing that minorness. And again, this new chord shape works on the other minor chords in the key too, so B minor chord, C sharp minor chord. But we don't just end there for the F sharp minor chord. I also actually add in these 2 notes on the high E string, so on the 9th fret and the 10th fret. And again, these 2 new notes work well on the other minor chords of the key, so on the C sharp minor chord. But when we go to the B minor chord, the 2 chord in the key of A, we need to alter these 2 notes a little bit for them to sound good. So instead of just doing, we need to move the 2nd note up 1 fret for it to sound fitting. Just really adds a lot of good melodic texture. Now, we're not done yet. I'm gonna keep building on this chord progression and introduce one final cool sounding chord shape to use with this capo trick. Let's hear it. So what's happening here is that the second time through the progression, instead of going from the 4, 5 to the 6 chords, we go from the 4, 5 to the 1 chord, or the home chord, which is the A major chord in this case. So this chord shape is basically the G, open G chord shape that we all know, except we take away the note on the low A string for simplicity, leaving just these 2 notes. And then we move the note on the high E string down 1 fret to the 4th fret for the major 7th note and sound. Now we can actually take this G chord shape, again taking out the middle finger note for simplicity, and then we can actually apply this 2-note chord shape to any chord in the key of A. So we can do something like and again, for any of those chords we just play using this new chord shape, we can change up the note on the high E string for additional flavor. So for the 1 and 4 chords, the A major and D major chords, we can move the high E string note down 1 fret for the major 7th note and sound. And for all the other chords in the key, for example the 5 chord, the E major chord, we can move the high E string note down 2 frets for the 7th note and sound. So we can do something like in summary, with this capo placement trick, we can play really beautiful sounding chords in the key of A with these 2 chord shapes. So the first one starts on the low A string. There we got a major chord, and to make it minor, we would just shift the finger that's below 1 more fret down. And the second shape starts on the low E string. We'll just put, again, another finger on the bass note of the chord, so A in this case, and on the same fret on the high E string, lay down another finger. And with any of these 2 chord shapes, we can add in additional notes for extra flavor, like if you're interested in learning about other ways to create beautiful chords but without a capo, check out this video where I go over iconic chords used in classical music. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks.